sit down. I am just a mayor, not a president. You heard it. Well, I have a prepared speech of about 3 pages. How long did you wait for me? You know, the Secretary of Health and I were just about 15 minutes ago, we were racing, was the other chopper, helicopter, to be here on time. We did try, but we had to discuss, made the assessment, made ocular inspections of the damage, and since the cabinet members were there, we had a conference of how the task could be divided so that the places hard hit by the earthquake would return to normalcy as soon as possible. That is the catchword of every catastrophe and disaster. It's always try to endeavor as fast as you can to return to normalcy. So that is what I did there. So let me just make the acknowledgements. The Health Secretary, Francisco Duque, the officers and members of the International Union Against Tuberculosis and Lung Disease led by Union President Dr. Guy Marks, Dr. Ral Antic, Union President, Asia Pacific Region, Dr. Camilo Roa. I think he's a relative of mine. We come from the same place. It's a small one, so I would say that maybe my father was either his neighbor or a relative. Dr. Takashi Kasai, Regional Director, World Health Organization. I love the words he used in characterizing the situation. Other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me, you know better than I am, so let me just divert a little and talk about my country and what ails my country. Well, number one is that I've been making several statements before regarding law and order and governance. What I say to you now, I will not be there forever in the office. As a matter of fact, in about 3 years' time, I began for good, since I could no longer run for any other position, except maybe to retire and plant whatever there is to be planted. I don't own the land. Maybe I will plant people. And let me just address to all of you so that you know a bit about my country. I hold it as an article of faith that unless the present situation, if there is no law and order, and if we cannot stop corruption in this country, no matter what we do or will be doing or have done, won't help. We are troubled with drugs, rebellions by the NPAs, and the Mindanao situation is the Islamic insurgency. We are lucky that in the two revolutionary fronts of the MI and LF and the MN, we were able to find a solution to give them what they wanted. For after all, it was just an issue of territory. Long before the Spaniards came, and of course the Americans, Mindanao was already Islam. That is why when the Spaniards came and they had the muskets and the cannon and the gunpowder, the natives had to kneel down because of sheer firepower. And the Americans also, and It was during the time that there was sort of a catchword, sloganeering, was, go to Mindanao because it is the land of promise. Go west, Yangon. And over time, the population grew and outnumbered, I'm referring to the Christians, outnumbering the population of Mindanao. And it was the Americans who started to divide the nation. Mindanao opened and they introduced the Torrens title. And just like in America, distribute the lands to all. They call it the homesteads. It's an American version of giving away public lands. And that was really a big problem because they forgot that before he came, Adam and Eve was already there. And I'm referring to the tribes of the Moro, the native Muslims of Mindanao. So I said the MNMI was just an issue of territory. And, but there's a certain place which I would not recommend to anybody to go there. Not just as yet is Zamboanga. There are still too many problems because some Europeans go there for the bird watching. And they are captured and eventually they are decapitated even after the payment of ransom. It's the ISIS actually. It used to be the Abu Sayyaf, it's a band of brigands, but now it's an Abu Sayyaf territory. And you know the Abu Sayyaf, they do nothing but to kill and destroy. It's a very an interpretation which is so corrupt. And they would like to mean it to be what is in their head. That's the mass insanity. So, I'm talking about how to get into the services of the poorest of the poor. Because they are the ones who need it most. They are the ones who live in squalor, in blighted areas, no nutrition, and very susceptible to bacteria and virus. Well, virus is a matter of destiny. You get to survive, then maybe you are freed of the contagion. But TB would need a lot of care, antibiotics, periodic injections, and all that. I know this because I've been mayor of Davao City for 23 years. I've been a prosecutor of that place for 9 years, and I was also the vice mayor once upon a time, a congressman, and eventually my office there in Pasay River. You seldom hear me talk about the presidency or Malacanang. What you'd hear from me is my office, and I'm just a mayor. I'd like to just be being a mayor, so nothing much is expected of a mayor. And that has been the main complaint against me because he's not a statesman. He talks in vulgar terms. And epithets, curses, and all. Oh, those are the languages of the mayor, especially in Mindanao. You don't get results when you do not say, potang ina mo. It's the press international. They don't like me. So when I say putang ina mo, actually it's a slang. We call it slang, and it only means son of a bitch. But when the press, the Philippines and otherwise would quote me shitting somebody with putang ina, you know, it's not even a crime. The Supreme Court said when you say those words, epithets, curses, and slang words, in the heat of hunger, you tend to use the mother, F and everything. And the rich language abounds in the conflict. I counted one movie with the word F, and they, in one movie, I purposely did the listing. They said it 400 times in a 1 hour 45 minutes movie of conflict. So, and besides, I was not schooled in statesmanship. There is no course of that kind in the Philippines. Otherwise, I would have enrolled it and improved on my demeanor. But I said, I've been mayor, and they do not like my barong folded this way because it's a national attire. But I have been in this kind of characterization of my sartorial insanity, and I just don't follow rules. Well, anyway, that's the problem. How to penetrate? Like, for example, the Department of Health. It is run by one of the most competent doctors in the Philippines, Dr. Dofi. He has been the Secretary of Health of past presidents, and when I became president, we only shook his hand once in, I think, EDSA Plaza. You were the woman at that time. Was that your daughter or your maybe aide? I don't know, but you seem to be enjoying the time of your life, and you saw me. Just kidding. Yeah, but I did see him there. So it's a problem of how really to go about gathering these people, not to corral them, but the health workers have to penetrate the mountain. And in areas there, I said, where blight and squalor abound. The problem bogs down along the way to the intended beneficiaries. It's either government people are indolent, not all, or they just really don't bother just to do their work with a little bit of patriotism. Maybe after 5 o'clock, they go home because that's it. And I saw it in other countries. At the stroke of 5, they just drop everything, and this is the kind of attitude that really is a monkey wrench in the running of government machinery. Because most of the people, actually, we are hitting 105 million people. About almost 99 million. They just do not have the money for the cure to spend. It's a series of injections, and you need money. And it behooves upon the health workers, really. And we have a strong advocate for that. But it's a matter of discipline sometimes. And especially now that there are a lot of people who are into drugs. And your people who are into drugs do not have the appetite to eat. That's why their hands is half of my breast. Most of them do not eat. They do not sleep. And they just wait for the monkey to ride on their back. And it begins to be itchy, they look for, the crave for the drug. And most of them are poor. So sometimes you equate drug addiction to crime. Most of them are sick. I said they do not have the nutrients. Their food is terrible. It's all carbo, no protein, and they're just content of having the Filipinos are fond of salty foods to accompany the carbo. They never actually learn the art of eating protein, vegetables. They are ignorant. I hope I'm not berating my country, but that is the truth. And we have to have proactive social workers or health workers. And that is why I do not, maybe the estimated number of addicts could be correct or it could be wrong. Just like the drug contamination when I became president. Over the years, you guys were citizens of this country saw how it developed. Alunan, who is running for senator this election, was called by the DEA, the Department of Enforcement of Drug in America. Alunan was secretary of the DILG during Marcos's time yet. And he was told there that at the rate Shabu is swallowing your country, we would not be surprised if you end a narco-politic in just a few years. And subsequent to that, two other presidents. You could only read a buy-bust operation, Shabu, one or twice. The amount quoted was always in the thousands. Then the last administration, it became millions. And now it has become $1 billion industry. There's the Sinalosa of Mexico. I hope I do not offend anybody here. They run the country, the elections, they elect the people, they choose. And that is what happened to my country. It started with the barangay captains, and that is the most basic political unit of government. It's like a county, then it goes to the city and become a state. There were about 14,000 barangay captains all over the country. And there were about a good number of the mayors already elected. So I was forced to call them in Malacanang, just like what Alunan did during the time of Marcos. I was mayor. He called us and said, he gave the warning. So I was always conscious of that, but I've always been angry at crimes because of my work as a public prosecutor. I was doing trial work for the government. So when I became mayor, I brought along my chief of police and placed them at the highest position of the PNP. He was only 1-star. I placed, when I appointed him there, he automatically became a 4-star. And I said, there's only one thing that I would like you to do. Open the records of the drug industry in the Philippines. So when he opened it, you saw by your own eyes thousands of sickly, thin, malnourished Filipinos going to the barangay or to the police by the thousands. And last count, we had about Bato Says, who's now running for senator. I urged him to run because he can help our country. So I was, well, open up. So when he opened the files, I realized that I was going to fight my own government. That's what the thing about, do not believe it, but some suggested revolutionary government. Because right at the start, there were 9 generals of the police in the greater Manila area who were into drugs. And the customs was rotten. And they imported the drugs by container. During Arroyo's time, it was by the thousands, Aquino by the millions. This time, with the entry of Señalosa and the 14K drug of Asia, the drug industry is booming, and the problem has become a global concern. So with that also, the health of the people deteriorated. If you take shabu, if you are poor, you don't eat, you don't sleep. If you have an issue of a lung ailment, it gets worse. And our health workers cannot penetrate the areas just like in any other place. There's a place in Washington, D.C. at night, you are advised not to enter into that alley because you will never go out alive. In L.A., downtown, you cannot because just count a few numbers and you get mugged, automatic. So, just like in the Philippines, some of my workers cannot, and in the mountains, they are mistaken to be spies of government. So they are detained by the communists, investigated, but most of the time they are released, but they had a scare of their life. So I started to count, and General De La Rosa counted it at 1.6. Previously, Santiago, the director, counted 3 million. And I said both are correct. Because the count of Bato was limited to the area of the Greater Manila jurisdiction. So, even if I place it at the very conservative number of the count of Bato, which is a newer undertaking, I would still have about 1.6 million Filipinos who are slaves to a drug called shabu. And they have to have it every day. And if they do not have the money, they will kill. They kill the rab. And when they get high, it's an everyday occurrence. They enter houses, rape the mother, rape the daughter, rape the infants. That is what is so abominable. They do not understand. Human rights people, they do not understand it. They would just say, Duerte killed 5,000. But those who did that, they never, but how? Who is he? Why was he killed? For what reason? What is his crime? And then you worry a dead carcass there of one. But the contamination of shabu affects millions. Not the 1.6 who are already there, but the social dysfunction of families. If the breadwinner of the family falls down, then the wife will probably get into quarrel every day until she is battered, spousal battery, and that's what happens. And the children no longer go to school. And the money intended for food on the table is gone. And they distribute because one addict has to recruit one another to support his addiction. And this guy would endeavor to recruit another to support this addiction. He will get his supply from the profits he gets from this guy. Then this guy would have to look for another one. And it goes on and on and on. And if you count the number of dysfunctional families, the innocent one, and the young women who are lost to drugs, they either join the fray or they go into early prostitution to survive. That is what the human rights cannot and will never understand. So when I was mayor, I said, I'm going to build a city enough, comfortable enough. I will return the streets and alleys and parks to the people and to the children, so they can go home safe and sound, unbridled by molestations or whatnot, being raped, being drugged, and it happens with regularity. And these are the things that the human rights, for their stupidity, do not comprehend. That is why I said when I became mayor, I'm going to build a city. It's going to be peaceful. I'm going to force the issue. People have the right to go out at night and enjoy, and the children. And I said to the chiefs of police, ask your wife and your beautiful daughter to walk about the streets of Davao City. If they come home unmolested, undisturbed, very happy, then that is the standard for our city. And I told them, and also for those who destroy people either by crime or some other way you begin to mess up with society, I will kill you. When I became president, I said, do not destroy my country. It's struggling. Its economy is not that good, but we are trying our very best. To the drug people and to the drug lords, again I said, putang. Don't even think of it. In front of the people of the Republic of the Philippines. Again, I will say, I will kill you. Period. No apologies, no nothing. I love my country. You know, not everybody can be president of this republic. I do not want to lengthen by bragging about how I reach into this task. But no, the presidency is really, believe me. You ask the people, the Filipino, how I got elected without money and without any help. And about Aimee Marcos, then Abet Garcia, then in Masbate, Governor Ko, only because the son was my fraternity brother. In the Visayas, where my father comes from, came from, Danao, Cebu. I never had even a barangay tanod. In Mindanao, I had the support of, active support of Subiri, the father and son, and Governor Amante. But beyond that, I didn't have any money. Why I really do not know. I cannot answer you now. Maybe it was a very stupid decision. But if you ask me now, in the hindsight, when I think of the moment I decided to run, that I regret. But I'm going to work for the next 3 years. But if you ask me if I'm happy with the job, I am not. Because of so many corruption, and I have to fire. I'm leaving for China, and before that, I will leave so many letters of dismissal. Corruption is really seeps down. You have to have something more than just a warning. I'm the only president who ako lang presidente nagbubugbog ng tao. Tanungin mo yung mga gwardya na. yung mga hangul, pagpasa uli sa bigot, ulihin mo yan. I'll tell you, give me your money. Because I do not bring money. So the soldiers, the white ones there, they would say, give me your money. And I would say to the guy, eat it. And sometimes there's 1 or 2 small coins, including the coin. But Mayor, it will get stuck in my, correct. It will really stuck in your, it will block your shit, and that is good for you. I do not like people, before I end, and all these wars and all this, do not ever think, you criminals, wherever you come from, be it in Mexico or in, do not ever think that you have a monopoly of evil in this world. Because we are all, it's an option sometimes. One is forced to. I said, to be president, I do not understand how God made it possible. But it is a gift from God, I'm sure of that. But let me just add, we need to cure TB and other diseases. Man in government should have free access to every place here without being molested, disturbed, unbridled by any worry, so that the purpose for which we are here can be realized. You prevent that the activity to happen, then my God gave me the presidency, I will give you a gift. I will clean this up. I hope to do it. Still have 3 years to kill all of them. Then I go to prison, so be it. I get hanged, my pleasure. I'm 74 years old. I do not want to die of TB. I do not want to die of lung cancer. As a matter of fact, I acquired Burgess disease for smoking. That is why my doctor is here. She gets my blood. Was it? See? Almost every other day. And I said, doctor, leave me some to survive. It's just a week. It's about Burgess disease. But I've stopped smoking. When I became mayor in Davao City, I stopped smoking. They said, it cannot be done because Filipinos, blah, blah, blah. We will see. And I said, if I catch you smoking in public, you'll just have to eat your cigarette. Choose. I blow your balls out, or you eat your cigarette. Davao, there's nobody, not even when you walk in the highway. You go to Davao, you have time after this. It's clean. Nobody. So, I have a gift for you. I am a government worker and I work for the people and to preserve the Republic of the Philippines.